Recording.
Welcome to Rise of the Goddess Collective podcast. I am your host, Michelle Julian, your goddess guide, and I have this amazing rock star, hardworking, amazing guest, Ashley Mass. Okay, we were just chatting behind the scenes, and basically, Ashley is the new Oprah for her whole demographic of her age group. Okay. I'm 60. Actually, I'm 62. And I don't know how old she is. I don't think she's older than like maybe 20 something. She looks like she's 12 because she's just so young looking. But we know that she's not 12 because she's got 3 kids and she has birthed this amazing movement pretty much all by herself, and then figured it out how to have other kick-ass women help her with her mission, because she's on a mission. This isn't just like a business. This is like huge. This is a movement, which I love because that's what we need to do. We need to move into being the goddess that we are and being unapologetic with that. So without blah, blah, blahing, because I can get going, I am here saying, hey, Ashley, how are you today?
I am just jazzed up because you are, I think, the ultimate hype person I've ever met in my entire life. And everybody needs Michelle in their corner. Like if I had an alarm that just told me everything you just said every single day, I would never have any bad days.
Wow, thank you so much. Well, life is hard, don't you think? Life is hard, it's beautiful, it's messy, it's all the things.
It is. It is. I agree with you. And I feel like lately, so many people are going through so many different experiences, and life is hard. But life is beautiful in the fact that it is hard because you learn lessons along the way of how do I get to work through these things.
Exactly. And the thing is we have chapters of our lives. And that's really how I see and view things is I'm in my chapter of 40s and beyond.
Mhm.
And in my early chapters, in my 20s and my 30s, I was still figuring things out. But that's what's so cool about watching your journey. I feel like you are figuring out, but you actually really know what you want to do.
Mhm.
Ultimately, at the end of the day, ultimately, your kids come first. Unapologetically, they
Mhm.
come first, absolutely. And how that can actually fuel your whole like movement. Really, that's what you're doing. You're fueling yourself with your love for your kids. You're wanting to provide for them, absolutely financially, but that's just not what it's all about here. It's really about much more
Mhm.
about what you as a whole soul, right, is honoring. You're honoring your soul's growth. And I know that you're devoted and you are devoted to God and you still can swear and you don't feel bad about it. So let's talk about that. How is God helping you with this movement?
Oh, geez. So I've had a very on and off relationship with my faith. I feel like let's just start. I'm 29 years old. I'll be 30. I'll be 30 in January. So
Oh my God, you're a January birthday?
yeah,
I am too.
you are. I'm a Capricorn.
Oh my God, we're Capricorns. Oh my God, that's so amazing. January what?
5th.
Oh my God, I'm the 18th.
Oh,
Mm,
oh, geez.
interesting. I was attracted to you so many years ago, watching your journey before you actually had your abundance box, which by the way, I can't wait to get it. I can't wait to get it. It's coming in the mail
It's
any day
coming in the
now.
mail.
So tell me, like, so what made you come back to the faith of God?
I guess the most pivotal moment in my life that I remember is, and we were talking about this right before we came on too, is uh, in 2017, I gave birth to my twins. During that time, I was in the hospital and I had preeclampsia with the twins. So they had to get the twins out in order for us to be okay and to make sure that nothing happened to me, nothing happened to the twins. And after I had given birth, it was actually an emergency C-section because I started to have liver failure and kidney failure. And my platelet count was so low, so my blood wasn't clotting. So they were afraid that by giving me a C-section, I could potentially bleed out. And that was communicated to my ex-husband and we were sitting in the hospital room, and I remember just not wanting to do that because I advocated for so long to have a natural birth. And when things don't go your way, I know that, you know, life is beyond your control and you can't control everything in your life. But when you felt it in your heart and you were prepped and you were ready for this thing to happen, and then everything goes the opposite way, it's almost like you can't help but to blame God, right? And I'm sitting there and I'm like, why are you letting this happen to me? I did everything. I took care of my body. I rested. I stayed home. I swelled like a freaking balloon. And here I am. And now you're going to just let me sit in a freaking room with a bunch of strangers and it cut open for everybody to see. And I just remember just wanting to blame him over and over again. And then after I'd given birth, I remember feeling so angry, but after giving birth, I actually got a lot worse, and I got diagnosed with HELLP syndrome. And basically, in that short span of time, within 24 hours, I went from being okay to being rushed into an ICU room because I was having organ failure. And when I remember over and over again just telling the nurses that something wasn't right. I eventually lost sight. I lost my hearing. And my ex-partner had told me that I just sat and screamed for like 15 minutes for no reason. Like, he's like, you just kept screaming and nobody could stop you. And I kind of tried to shake you. And you're just like, you kept saying you couldn't hear, you couldn't see. And where am I? And eventually I made it up to the ICU where they had told Nicholas that I was not going to make it through the night and that he should prepare to make arrangements for something to happen. And they were like, her ability to survive right now is less than 5%. We're actually going to give her, like, she's got like a 2% chance of living. Okay. So we're just letting you know that you're probably never going to see your wife again. And I remember being in the CT scan and they were seeing where the blood was, because I was bleeding out within my own body. And being in that tube, this is the craziest experience of my life, but I think people that have been through it can relate, that I started wanting to fall asleep and just say, okay, I'm done. Like, I don't care. Like, just take care of my babies. Like, everything's going to be fine. And I started closing my eyes and I felt something like, it was like almost like a slap, like in the back of the arm. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, what in the hell is happening? And I'm like, am I losing my mind? Am I dead? What's going on?
Wow.
And I opened my eyes and I saw like I saw my grandma, who has been passed away since I was 18 years old. And she took care of me when I was a little girl. She took care of me. She was always there for me. And when she passed away, I was with her and I was holding her hand when she passed away. So it's just like a very profound moment. And I always told myself, like, she's always going to be in my heart. She's always going to be my guardian angel. And this was the first time I felt her there. And I know people say, I don't know if I believe in angels or things like that, but this was the first time I actually was like, okay, I get it. This is, like, okay, this is actually happening. And she just told me to keep my eyes open because there's so much more left. And literally from that moment, I remember them putting blood bags inside of me. And with every single blood bag that came in, because I lost 2.5 liters of blood, which is over half in my body.
Oh my
And
God.
with every blood bag, I just felt like I was coming back to life. And I felt warm, and all of a sudden I could see again and hear again. And it was just like this really insane experience, but it's an experience that needed to happen to get me to where I am today. And because of that, I went through some pretty significant PTSD, of course, right?
Mhm. Oh,
And I don't want to I don't want to ever say to you or anybody that that one experience made me like, oh, now I'm going to be a great person and now I'm going to do all these things and I'm going to lead by faith, because that's not what happened to me. I was diagnosed with PTSD and postpartum depression, and I used alcohol to cope.
mm,
And
mm,
during that time, yes, I had my faith and yes, I believed in God, but there's a difference between, you know, actually believing and knowing that he's there, right?
mm,
And I, when I was going through that part of my life, my relationship was also kind of falling apart. It was very rocky. Both of us had a very toxic relationship with alcohol. And the difference was that I took self responsibility of it, and I had hit a point where it was almost normal. It was normal for me to just like pick up a freaking bottle of wine at 2 p.m. and drink it until it was gone every day. I'm like, okay, girlfriend, you got two little babies at home. Like, what are you doing? You know? And
I'm not laughing at you. I'm like
it's,
laughing with you. Like there's probably a lot of mothers that are
yeah,
gonna be listening to this. They'll be like, "Yep, I went
yeah,
through it too."
because our society is so like, that's normal. Like,
Mhm.
you go to the freaking grocery store and there's bottles of wine at the checkout line. I don't know where people are tuning in from, but here in Wisconsin, we have like alcohol is normal. There is bars at like every corner of every street.
Mm,
Like,
mm,
there's liquor stores, gas stations. All our gas stations have liquor, which many states don't, and beer right in front where you're checking out. And I'm like, this is normal here, but it's really not normal.
oh my God. That's so well, Target's like that, right? If you
Yeah.
go into Target, Target's got the alcohol, but you gotta have the license and you gotta go through the line, you know, a special line to get the alcohol. So yeah, but we do have liquor stores. Now that I think about it, now I'm like thinking as you're saying this, I'm like, yeah, we actually have a lot of liquor stores like through each like street. Like if you take a left, there's always like a liquor store. Like, yeah, and even with the pandemic, right? You could
Uh-huh.
go to the liquor store, you could get your
Yep.
alcohol. But it
Yeah.
was like, I guess that was really a necessity, what is it? What am I saying?
Necessity.
Yes, a necessity, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's just really wow, that's interesting, you know? But oh my God. So this is like a huge thing that
Yeah.
you had to go through.
Yeah.
And so you're alive. You're actually breathing
Mhm.
and living and you're alive. And of course, PTSD. I mean, hello.
Mhm.
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, I myself went through a near death experience. I was riding my bike to school. I was a senior in school. And on that day, it was November, I'll never forget, it was election day, 1977, election day. And there were leaves on the ground. And I was riding my bike to school with no helmet, by the way. We didn't wear helmets in 1977. We had to look beautiful, right? Typical teenager, senior here, high school, you got to look beautiful. So I stole my hat from my older sister and a scarf. So I had a hat, a beret, and a scarf. I was very stylish riding my bike to school. And I was so proud of myself that I was on time too, because I always ran late. Like every 10 minutes. I mean, always run 10 minutes late. That's the way I've always like been. I don't know why. I just like my soul wants to be late.
Yeah.
So I don't beat myself up about it anymore. I just like tell people, just want you to know, I'll probably be 10 minutes late. Although today I was not 10 minutes late for you.
Nope.
I was actually on time, probably because I was just so excited. Anyway, so I'm riding my bike, and before I know it, I see my friend coming up in a car the opposite way. Now, school's that way. Why is she driving this way? Did she skip school? Is she skipping school and not inviting me to be skipping school? Like, all in my head thinking about, I'm missing out on something. I'm missing out on something. And I literally take my brakes and brake like this. And because it's wet leaves, it's like ice.
Uh-huh.
Go right into this like locked brake, sliding like ice. And before I know it, I hit a tree. And on the tree is a sign. It slices my neck, okay, misses my jugular vein by a fingernail.
Wow.
And I basically have the like, hello, God conversation. I don't know how long it lasts because I laid there, and I just remember him saying, God said to me, because I'm Catholic, and so I was brought up Catholic, and I was brought up with Jesus with the gray hair and the holy thing. And I talked to Jesus with the gray hair, and he says, "It's not your time. You have lots of things to do. You're going to get married. You're going to have a baby. This is not your time. Take a deep breath. Everything's going to be okay." And I didn't even know anything wasn't okay because I got hit in the head,
Hmm.
completely out. Woke up, the priest was standing over me, and I looked up at him. I said, "Am I dying?" And he said, "No, you just have a little cut on your neck. The ambulance is coming. You're going to be okay." And then I just went out. And I'm here to tell you the story. It's like,
Wow.
whoa, and I do have this amazing scar on my face that goes right from here to here. So, I'm
Oh,
telling
yeah.
you the truth. Like, this is the truth. This is the truth scar.
Oh my God.
Right. And it used to pull my face like this. And then I had that Z plastic surgery done, and it helped like not having it pull anymore. And I had a lot of people like saying to me, "Hey, why don't you fix it? You could do Z plastic surgery." I said, "No, it's my reminder. I want to keep it there to remind me that I'm here for a reason, you know?" And I got married. I had my baby. I have a grandson, and I'm now married to my third husband.
Oh, wow.
So I did get married 3 times. 3 times is a charm.
Three
You know?
times.
Absolutely. Do not feel any shame with that at all, because the first one was to have my baby, Ashley,
Uh-huh.
and the second time was basically to learn who not to be with, right?
Yeah.
Definitely narcissism is not good.
Nope.
You don't want to attract that, and
Nope.
you don't want to be in a narcissistic relationship, especially when you're an empath, because you get sucked in and you bleed out.
Hmm.
And so the third one was literally brought to me from the universe, from God, from the light, and I met him on Craigslist online.
No.
Yes, I did.
That is awesome.
Yes. It's real. I mean, online dating is a real thing. And back in the day, like that was like 13 years ago, it was
Yeah.
kind of new. Match.com, eHarmony, all of those things. And for me to do Craigslist was really ballsy. Okay. I was really brave to do that. Even my husband's like, the reason why I like wanted to go out with you, because I thought, wow, she's really brave. I have to meet this girl. And so that was like the main reason, like he actually like wanted to meet me, because he just had to meet this brave girl to post her picture on Craigslist. I don't know if you know what Craigslist is, but
Yes.
Craigslist is like a place where there's lots of crazies. Okay.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
And they don't even allow dating anymore because of the crazies. They locked down the personal dating site. So I got in there before they locked it down, and I met my great partner, because that's what he is. He's a great partner. We both woke each other up, and we do not let each other off the hook, and we're constantly stretching ourselves. And that's what I need for my soul. Like I
Mhm.
need my soul to be constantly stretched and re-stretched. What's the point of living if you're not really like embracing life wholeheartedly? You always talk about wholehearted life, wholehearted experience. What
Mhm.
does that really mean to you in this chapter of your life when you say whole heart?
So for a very long time, I feel like, I mean, this I know is going to resonate with probably everybody, but we live in a very tech advanced society where most of the time we are like, we'll go out to dinner and it's normal to put your kids on an iPad. You go out to on a walk and you're sitting there and you're on your Instagram showing like everywhere, everybody where you're at. And you're not very present in the moment. You're not having a wholehearted experience in that moment. You're not giving people your wholehearted, like undivided attention. And when I was going through my divorce, and I know what you mean by narcissistic abuse because I've been through it. I've been through, you know, physical, mental, financial, emotional, all of that abuse and in my ex-partner. And one of the things I took responsibility of, because one of the you can go through experiences in life and blame other people for being the way that you are, or for being broke, or for being sad, depressed, anxious, whatever. But when you can start to look at yourself and look at the toxic traits that you hold within yourself and you take responsibility of those to change them, that's where life happens, right? So through my ex, through my divorce, I really recognized how much time and energy I was putting into my online business. But then I started to look at, am I being intentional with the conversations that I'm having, or do I just feel like I have to give and give and give and give over and over again, but I'm not giving myself anything, and I'm
Mhm.
not giving my kids anything. So through that experience, I I completely deleted social media apps off of my phone, in terms of Facebook, because Facebook and Facebook Messenger were taking up like 8 hours of my day. 8 hours of my day that I could be doing something different. And it was like this attachment I had with, well, I have to be present all the time and I got to respond to these people. Otherwise, they're gonna go, find somebody else they align with, or blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, no, at the end of the day, people are attracted to what I do because I'm honest and because I live my life wholeheartedly, but I'm not actually living my life in that way. So I deleted those two apps, and now my screen time in a day is, I think, 2 hours maximum. I am never on my phone, and here and there I'll do some TikToks or I'll post on stories because I want to share something.
Mhm.
And since doing that, I feel so many more people are coming into my life, or buying tickets to our conference that we're holding next summer, or being subscribers of the Abundance Movement boxes, because that's the life that they are attracted to. They're not attracted to the fancy cars or the big house or the Louis Vuitton purses. They're attracted to the happiness that brings.
I love
And yeah, and so like when I talk about wholehearted, I mean like being present and giving people your 100% undivided attention, because there's so much power behind, going out to dinner with a friend and leaving your phone in the car. That does
absolutely.
not happen.
I love that. I love that. And I think it's important for people to understand that when you do that, you're showing that person that they mean something to you.
Yes.
That it's an important thing for you to be really present and with them without your phone. And
Mhm.
I think that's really kind of cool because I always thought like your generation would be like less that way, right? Because you're younger and you're like, oh, the phone's just part of my life.
Yeah.
We, you know, the 40s and 60s, we didn't really grow up with a phone per se. We had beepers. I actually had a beeper. My daughter, she bought me, I was a single parent like you are now. And I kind of sort of still am, even though I'm not. I mean, my husband that I'm with, that's not her father. So
Mhm.
I always see myself as a single parent. Like I'm always like the only one that she goes to, right?
Yeah.
And talks to, because she's not going to talk to my husband because he's not her dad. And her dad, she can't talk to because he passed away.
Uh-huh.
So I'm it. You know what I mean? Like it lands on me. And, when I watched her kind of grow up, she's still in the generation of that she didn't really have a phone either, right?
Mhm.
So the younger, like the 20 somethings, right? I say the 20 somethings before they're 30 now, it's like it's part of their life and they know how to integrate it in a respectful way that they're not always on it. But I always wonder, are they tempted to be always on it? So it's nice to hear that you are not always on it and that you took it off your phone and that really helps you. You figured it out how to do that.
Mhm.
And that's really important. And that's really being discerning about how you want to spend your time
Mhm.
and how even though you have a business online, that you actually can take a break
Mhm.
and you can say, you know what, I'm only doing 2 hours a day. That's it. That's what I want. That's what feels right. That's what my inner goddess wisdom tells me. And that's what I'm doing. And so I just think it's fantastic that you're doing that. And I'm sure the audience is going to be listening and be like, wow, God, you look like you're always on there, Ashley.
Yeah.
Really? Really? You don't have it on your phone.
Yeah. No, and I think that's the thing too, is that yes, I am on social media, and it's funny when people just make the assumption that that's like, oh, you built your whole business being on social media. And yes, I have, but it's been very intentional with my experiences in life, you know?
Yes. Yes. When you come on, even when you're sharing, like we call it like a day in a life of
Uh-huh.
the entrepreneur, whenever you're sharing your day in your life, there's always a lesson that
Mhm.
can be learned. And
Mhm.
so that in itself is powerful. So, it's not you just coming on saying, I baked banana bread, have a nice day. You know, you're talking about how you decided to bake the banana bread and
Yeah.
the thing that happened before you made the banana bread, and then why actually the banana bread really kind of tastes shitty.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's transparency. Like it's real, raw Ashley.
Yeah.
And that's why people want to be in your energy. And speaking of that, let's talk about your event that
Oh,
you
yes.
are having and when is it? And tell us all the things.
Okay. So I've been wanting to create an event ever since. Okay. I went to Rachel Hollis in this Hollis, what is it? The Rise conference in
Yeah.
Dallas, Texas in
Had to be 18.
2018. Yep. 2018, I went there. And it was actually a week before I had went to her conference, I experienced the miscarriage. And I didn't even know I was pregnant. So I was very blindsided by the fact that it was even taking place. And I was telling myself, I'm not going to go to this conference. Life is falling apart. My ex partner was actually in Tennessee working. He had just left for because he worked out of state for 2 years off and on. So he had gone back, and I was by myself raising two kids and going through this. And my best friend and business partner, who actually lives in the same town that I do, she came over and watched my kids while I was in the hospital. And she was going to come to this conference with me. And I remember going back and I go, I'm in just so much pain. I don't know if you've ever had an experience like that, but it just feels like your insides are just like falling out, and it's very painful. And I told her, my body just can't handle this. Like, I don't want to get on a plane and go to Dallas and then just act like everything is fine. Like nothing is fine. And she goes, nothing in life is ever meant to be perfect and fine. And I know that you're experiencing this right now, but what if you don't go? And what if like you miss out on something that could have changed your life, or blah, 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 like something to that extent. And I'm like, all right, I'm just going to sit on this for a few days. And I had called my ex-partner telling him what was going on. And he goes, well, I'm not going to just leave work and go up because you're in the hospital. Like, you're fine. And was very nonchalant about my feelings. And I go, okay, I already have like my mom coming to town to come watch the kids. I didn't even tell her until about 2 months later what had been going on. And I'm like, you know what, F it, I'm gonna just go for myself, because you're clearly not showing empathy towards what has taken place. I'm gonna show myself empathy by doing this for myself. And you can be pissed and get mad. I don't care. I'm just gonna go. And being at the conference, there was like freaking thousands of women there. And I'm so grateful that I was there, because I learned so much. Like, she talked about like owning your past one day, and I was just crying the entire freaking day. I looked around and I wasn't the only one crying the whole freaking day. And she had this exercise where she had women stand up who had experienced things. And when she said, you know, I've lost a child or a loved one or something, not even kidding you, like 90% of the room stood up, and there was thousands of people there. And it was just that feeling that I needed at that moment, where I was like, holy shit, I'm not alone. And there was a woman that was standing right next to me who had lost her husband 2 weeks before in a like tragic accident. And I'm like, oh my gosh, here I am. Here's my ego, right? Here's my ego telling me that I'm going through this and nobody knows what it's like. And nobody knows what it's like to experience the pain that I have. And this woman is sitting next to me, and she's smiling. You're not alone in your experience. We wrote down a goal, and my goal was I will be hosting my own conference. And that was in my 5-year plan, and it was 2018. I was like, I will be hosting my own conference, and I'm going to have speakers that are from all over the US, and we are going to help women turn their mess into their message. Okay. And fast forward, it's 2021, and we were finally, like, Lauren and I were just sitting there, and we're like, you know what? There's no freaking excuse for why we can't do this. It's not time, it's not money, it's not energy, it's none of that. And like, none of that has a factor, because we can find sponsors to help put this on. We can find a venue here locally. We know so many women that would be there. So what is holding us back from actually doing it? And you know, she's been on bed rest for 12 weeks now. And we finally just decided, you know, one day I didn't have the kids. I went over there and we planned the entire thing in like 8 hours.
Love it.
And we're like, okay, this is who we're going to call. We're going to call these venues. We're going to figure it out. So finally, we toured a venue, and we just, once we walked in, we knew that was going to be the place.
Awesome.
You walk in there and you immediately feel like you're meant to be there. And there's nothing in there in the rooms that could make you like bring that to life. But immediately, like walking up those stairs into the venue space, I was like, holy shit, it's open. It just, I couldn't even describe it. Like, all of a sudden my vision was just like there, and I could see where the people were going to be sitting, where the vendors would be, where the sponsors would be. And it just made complete sense. And I just felt like, oh, there you are, God. Like, you're telling me, like, this is it, right? And we booked the venue. And what this event is designed to do is to radically change your life. So we have gone to several conferences. And one of the things that we felt like was always missing was that one-on-one piece connection, where, yeah, you're in the same room, but typically you're going with a group of friends and you're just sitting there and you're kind of clicking around, and you go home and you're so burnt out, tired, because you got an overload amount of information. You don't know what to do with any of it. And then you spend like a week in energy burnout. And so we decided to create a 2-day experience. So day one this is called Rise Up. So the Rise Up conference in Green Bay, Wisconsin next summer. Day one is all around healing your inner self, your child self, like everything that holds you back from where you want to be in life. It's revisiting the traumatic parts of your life. And you don't have to have had to experience something crazy catastrophic for it to be considered trauma for you.
Right.
And so we're going to focus on healing. We're going to focus on forgiving ourselves and forgiving the people that have hurt us. We're also going to talk about ego, and ego in the form of nobody suffers the way I suffer, or I'm better than everybody else. I have all this money. I'm better. Like, you're not in my circle, like, back off. Like, we're going to talk about ego, because ego holds us back from our dreams.
Right.
And we're going to end that day by having a coach who is very PTSD trauma focused talk about self-acceptance and accepting all parts of who you are, not just little bits and pieces.
Great.
And not just you as a mom, not just you as a friend, but you as a human being. So that's day one. And then day two, we wanted to focus on becoming your highest self. So now that I've released all this shit, how can I take that shit and turn it into a movement, or turn it into my message, or turn it into the thing that makes me feel like I'm the best mom, best wife, best version of myself that I can be. So it's talking about, you know, really, how can I step into that highest self, like confidence and self-love, and talking about financial literacy for women. We're going to talk about financial abundance, that you can be a stay-at-home mom and want to make money, and that's okay. You can be a boss babe CEO of your life, and just educating on multiple streams of income, financial literacy, because a lot of times, even men, women, anybody in our society, we don't go to school learning about that stuff. So that's the 2 days. And then we will have a dance party after, so that you can connect with everybody that you've met at the conference. So we rented out this like venue that I used to work at. I used to bartend at a long time ago. And so did Lauren. And we rented it out. And it's just going to be everybody from the conference dancing together, having fun together, laughing together, so that they go home and they feel like, oh my gosh, I just met my new best friend, or I just met my new sister, you know. And that's the vibe we want people to get from it. And we have a third day that's for the VIPs, where you get that one-on-one experience with the keynote speakers. So we have, like, for example, okay, if you want money mindset, we have a couple, they own a multi-million-dollar home building business in Beloit, Wisconsin, Madison area, who are going to talk to people about real estate investing and like smart money investing and things like that that you wouldn't even think about. Or if you struggle with like body image, self-confidence, we have like a self-acceptance workshop. So you'll have the opportunity to get that more intimate experience, to be able to go home and be like, oh my gosh, I know what I want to do. I got this, you know?
Exactly. And that's the thing about those big events like the Tony Robbins, the Rachel Hollis, they make it so big and so stimulating. And I know that, you know, they're kind of like following each other in ways that like they're going to like one up it. Like, I'm going to have this star and this person, and Oprah's going to be there, and Deepak Chopra is going to be there. It's like, okay, can we just get real here for a second? Like, can we come down here a little bit into the like the real world? Like, none of us all live up there. Okay, we don't all live in the Tony Robbins and the Oprah Winfrey lands. Okay, we're in like day-to-day survival.
Yeah.
Especially with 2020. I mean, let's be real. Okay, even Oprah got hit hard, and Ellen's show got hit hard. Tony Robbins got hit hard in 2020. They had to figure things out because their whole models were conferences. Okay, that's how they made their business, made their income, was conferences. So how they had to pivot and innovate is online. Now, this is much more digestible. So it's something that you can do online and offline. That's another question I was going to ask you. Are you going to have this as a recording so people that can't come there can actually watch it and they can pay you
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
We will have the in-person, obviously, portion of it, but we will also be offering virtual options because we know that, yeah, you can't predict life. Clearly, 2020 showed that. So,
Yeah.
I mean, we've pivoted, we've innovated in ways that we can meet people where they're at, wherever they're at. And offering virtual options to be present during the conference virtually there happening, but also recording it and allowing the people to even take it home and be like, okay, I remember this Becky woman talking about real estate and I'm really into that. I need to go back and watch that part and take
Right.
notes.
Right,
So
because that it's like an asset, right? It's an asset for you, it's an asset for your audience, and to be able to really like embody all the stuff that they learn, they do need to like process it. Like I think it's great that 2 days are perfect because
yep,
the first day it's like, whoa, you're all like energized and everything. And then the second day, you're like, okay, what did I just learn? Oh, and I really like that person I was standing next to, or like, I'm so curious. I want to ask that person a question. It's great that you're having that, like, where they can sign up for the thing that they're like, oh, I need to really focus on that.
yep.
And they can go to that next level of transformation and then taking whatever they have from that one-on-one thing and taking it home. And then now on top of that, the recording. So this is so exciting. And I'm probably going to want to sign up for this myself.
Do it.
Yes,
Gotta
definitely.
you gotta make a trip to Wisconsin. It's freaking beautiful here. Let me just tell you, in the summertime, like I know we've got like 8-month winters, but when it is warm, you don't want to be anywhere else. And the cool thing about where we are is that we're so close to some pretty amazing places. Like the Upper Peninsula of Michigan is only 2 hours away. There's so many hiking and kayaking spaces up there. We are an hour away from Door County, Wisconsin, which is like all their vineyards and wineries. And Green Bay is only, I think it's only 2 hours from Milwaukee, 3 hours from Chicago, but we have an Amtrak service. So if you fly in to Chicago, you can take the Amtrak right to Green Bay, which is really freaking awesome. And it's a
Wonderful.
centralized hub that you can fly from Boston to Chicago or Orlando from Chicago and make your way right to Green Bay. It's affordable. And
Mhm.
that's why we made it in our hometown, is because we wanted to make sure that people had the option to, if they didn't want to fly, because we have an airport here in
Mhm.
there in the Kentucky area one way. So it's a very centralized location, and we have the Green Bay Packers here. So lots of people are normally traveling here.
That's
So
fantastic.
it's obtainable for anybody. So it's,
Absolutely.
yeah, June 2nd and 3rd of 2022. And we do have tickets available now. And
We are going to put this all in the show.
yes, yes, and it's going to be amazing.
Okay, so we're going to have all the links. So we're going to have the Abundance Box package link,
Yes.
and we're going to have your link for, I think you also have a program that you do it with some other people. It's kind of like a master class,
Yep.
mastermind. So you have that link, and
Mhm.
then we have the link for the event. So that's the 3 links. And what's like the easiest place for people to get a hold of you? Instagram?
Probably Instagram. Like I'm very like Instagram I have on my phone. Most
Yeah.
people message me on Messenger, but I just don't respond for like a day or two typically. So the best way to contact me is definitely Instagram at the Ashley Moss.
Mhm.
Or if you email me, Ashley at abundancemovementboxes.com, I usually respond within 24 hours there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
I emailed you. You responded 24 hours.
yeah.
Yeah. The messenger you definitely don't even look at.
No, I don't.
I'm not gonna even message her anymore there. I'm gonna email her.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, here's the thing too, is what I want women to take away from this, or men, whoever you are listening to this, is that I've been in business for 2.5 years, which is not a very long time.
Mhm.
And one of the biggest things I will always tell people is because when I got started, right, we always start with 0 followers. Nobody knew who the frick I was. I had 100 friends on Facebook. I did go to school to become a social worker. I have my master's degree in special education, but it does pertain to what I'm doing now, just in a very different, more intimate way where I'm actually helping people in a bigger way. So when people look at my story, they're like, oh, you've been doing this for 2.5 years. Like, that's really fast for you to experience all this growth and all this stuff. Like, how did you get there? And I will tell you always is that I made the investment on myself. Like, I took courses. I surrounded myself with people that were at high levels that I wanted to be like in my own way. And one of the things they always told me is be transparent, be yourself. And I'm like, I don't freaking know what it means to be my damn self. Like, what are you talking about? Who cares like that I am like I'm a weirdo. Okay. And I remember just like downloading TikTok just for the fun of it. And I went viral on TikTok, but it was because I was weird and I was doing things in a way that felt good to me.
You are not weird. You're funny. You're
I'm
actually
interesting.
very funny, and you laugh at yourself.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's like you are having fun with yourself, right?
Yeah.
Like you like yourself.
Mhm.
Even though you might be struggling, you still like yourself. And that's one of the things that I had to learn
Mhm.
the hard way. I had to fall in love with myself before I could attract the right partner for me. And that's the only reason I actually attracted my husband that I'm with now, is because I fell madly in love with myself. But it took me 40 plus years to fall in love with myself. So I'm so glad that you're doing it before you turn 40.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing too, is like, don't be afraid to be yourself. If you're struggling in business, it's because you're afraid of people and what they're thinking about you. Period. I don't care who you are. Like, you can spend all this money on ads, all this money on coaching, all this money in in-person events and never get anywhere because the only person that's standing in your way is yourself. And until you learn to accept all parts of who you are, I will tell you, it is fucking scary to share from a space of vulnerability. When I started to open up about my abusive relationship, and when I started to make TikToks about like because for the longest time, my ex-partner was never physical with me until we got divorced. And I talk about, narcissism has very different aspects, and that shit is scary, especially as a parent, especially as a person who has kids with this person, right?
Mhm.
And when courts are involved, you got to be very careful about what you do, and that shit is scary. But I wanted people to understand that even though I looked like happy and abundant and all these things, that I was still struggling internally. And here's me opening up about it. And then all of a sudden, it was like, woof, like it's out there. And I can do it in a way that isn't like, overshare or too into the
Right.
people don't need to know exactly what happened, but me
No.
just,
You share just enough for people to learn
Yeah.
the lessons that they can learn for themselves by watching you learn your lessons. And that's the component that's transparent, that's real, that allows people, especially new people coming in. The pandemic has really shown people that, having like a side hustle online is probably a nice thing to do, but pick something that you like to do, pick something that's going to be fun, because you're going to want to, like, if you're going to be wanting to be online and if it's not fun, you're never going to last. You're going to just get burnt out and be done with it. You know what I mean? Because it does require some time, but you and many other people that you surround yourself with have done it, right? And they have figured it out. And so why not align yourself? That's why everyone needs to go to this event. Align yourself with Ashley and her team and have fun. And it's affordable. It's really super affordable
It
event.
is.
I mean, I've looked at a lot of events out there, and this is affordable.
Yeah.
And it's going to be in a really, like you said, a really cool setting in the summer. And it's a year from now. So start saving your money, people.
Yeah.
And
And we do have payment plan options too.
awesome.
Because we wanted people to have the opportunity to like fit it into their monthly budget.
Yes, exactly. Because that's the real situation that we're
Yeah.
here in the pandemic. We do not have indisposable income right now. Even really wealthy people are like pulling back from spending money. I mean, it's just the whole world is doing that. It's like discerning. No, not going to get that. No, not going on that trip. You know, I'm going to wait till next year. I don't need to do that. So I think it's great that you're teaching people this and having that transparency online. And I'm so, so excited that we got to do this interview. And I am so blessed to actually like see you like live. I feel like I'm like live with you. I can feel your energy.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Is there anything else you want to share with the audience before we say goodbye?
No, I just, if you feel called to call, like reach out to me and have a conversation, do it. Cause I'm in the space where, you know, I am growing and things are happening. I want people to always feel like they can, you know, just express who they are and be who they are. So
Yes. Yes. You embody that. So thank you so much. And I am so excited that we have this opportunity. And I am going to stop this recording and then I'm going to put it into the notes and just create the whole thing. So you'll be able to share it to your audience. And I'll probably just even share this with you before I actually edit it, just so you can do whatever you want with this. I know you have a team and you guys are super creative. I love how you're creative with your message of abundance. And that's really what we all need, more abundance. So thank you so much
you're
and
welcome.
have a wonderful day.